Hey guys, this is Chris Adval, and this time I am recording on the H4n, but with the better mic instead of the lavs. Obviously, you can easily tell a huge difference from the lavs and this microphone, and and it's still the same recording device. Just I think the microphone is a huge difference, obviously in sound quality. I'm not here to talk about that, obviously. I'm here to talk about the Tokina 11 and 16 millimeter f2.8 AT-X116 Pro DX for the Canon. And this is a video review of that lens and using it on a crop sensor Canon camera, which is the Canon EOS T2i, or in other countries 550D, or the other names they have out there for this model. If you didn't notice, if you didn't read the specs on this lens is designed for crop sensors only, and which is what I was looking for at that moment. And I rented it just for a specific event I was doing for environmental portraits. Now, I can see here, I'll show you some samples from the event that I used it from, which is two events. It's the Harrisburg touring event I did, which was only one model, unfortunately, but she was a good model. And since it was really, really cold, it didn't really last that long, so which is understandable. So here's a few shots from that, and here's a few shots from Morgantown, which I had a blast. There's like 5 models, I think, or 4. It's Stephanie, Elena, Caitlin, Janine. So it's 4 models in Morgantown shot. So you can see some samples from each one of those, which maybe only one or a few, because I'm still going through the editing process for them. As you see the samples, I'll be talking about the pros and cons of this lens. The pros are basically it's very wide angle lens, wide angle focal length, which is the main issue, the main usage I was trying to look for my lens at this time and for this type of shoot. Wide angle, and not just that, it's a f2.8, which is a fast aperture, and could go really wide to let in a lot of light and bring in some bokeh. The great use of this lens on the wide angle focal length was great use for environmental portraits, landscapes, and cityscapes. Now, I'm not really a landscape photographer or cityscape photographer, but I did take a few shots of some cityscapes, as you can see here. I'm not really like a professional into this area, but or specialized into cityscapes, but I like the designs of cities, city buildings and stuff like that. Landscapes is a little boring for me. Sometimes, depends. And obviously, they're a lot more difficult to shoot unless you really pull over in the middle of nowhere when you're driving. And I drive a lot, especially this past year and this upcoming year with doing my tour. Now, the lens is very good. It's another pro is it's a fixed aperture lens, which is very good, obviously, for obvious reasons. Now, the cons, let me get to the cons. It's a few cons, at least for me. 11-16 focal length difference is literally no difference at all. It's like 5 millimeter difference. And when I was zooming in and out, I saw literally no difference at all. I would rather have an actual 11 millimeter prime, or probably even a 16 millimeter prime, then it wouldn't really make a difference, because the prime would probably outperform a zoom lens in most cases. So I see no reason for a zoom, at least with the 5 millimeter difference. If it was 11 to 20, that would be a much more bigger difference, because you can see a lot more. But 5 millimeters, you can't tell in the camera at all. It's very, 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 very little, tiny bit, and it's not even enough for me. The other con is it's really, really heavy. It may, in specs, you can see it's probably like a pound, but it really does feel like at least 5 pounds to me. And the price, I'm not a huge fan of expensive crop sensor lenses because they're crop sensor lenses. They're not really meant for the professional user or a person who's striving to be a professional, who is eventually going to be using a full frame sensor camera. So if you buy this lens, it's only for crop sensors, and it's pretty expensive, as much as a full frame sensor L lens. Unfortunately, it's like the price is about, like, right now it's like $700, which you could probably easily get 7200 f4 L lens from Canon, easily, and that's a whole lot more sharper and easily outperforms this lens. But um, this lens is very specific for application and usage. Like, you're going for more landscapes, cityscapes, and most likely environmental portraiture. And that's why, right now, unfortunately, Tokina 11 to 16 millimeter f2.8 is the only one out there that I could find that's a 2.8 fixed aperture lens in this focal length area range, at least for Canon. And even in the full frame, they don't even have it. It's like, there's one that's probably like closest, but I'll just I'll give you guys a link of other lenses that come somewhat close to the Tokina 11-16 f2.8. But my goal was to get a very wide focal length and a fixed aperture lens of 2.8 or better. That was my goal. And I needed at least a 12 or wider focal length, not 16, because I was going to shoot indoors in a room. That's the main reason why. 16 and higher, it's nothing to me. It's just way too much, because I already have an 18-135, and that wasn't enough for me, unfortunately. In my opinion, I think someone, or like Tokina or Tamron or Canon, should make a non-fisheye lens that's very fast, and, fixed aperture 2.8 or better, and like very wide focal length. Probably for cityscape, landscape, and environmental portraiture. That's pretty much what I see as a wide focal length usage, applications for. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's what I got from using it for at least a week. I played with it in product photography in the studio, and I used it for 2 events for environmental portraiture. One day I used it for all day for a Morgantown event. I used it for that one, and I sent it back. I also played with the video feature, and it wasn't that easy, because when you zoom in and out, you see no difference really. And at first, when I got it, manual zoom was very difficult to figure out to turn on and off, because I never really used anything but Canon. So I had to read up online and figure out how to turn on and off the manual zoom, which is easy and easy to miss as soon as you know and figure it out. But it's not as easy as a Canon, where you see manual and AF, for autofocus, just flip off and on. That's easy, very easy. But you have to actually go to the focus ring and pull it down or up, to turn it off and on. It's a very confusing feature. I don't know why they did that. I think it should be much easier, much more straightforward. Don't have to be so unique, in my opinion. Now, that's pretty much it. All right, so tell me what you think of this review. Obviously, as you can tell, I sound a lot better with this microphone. I'm not sure if I sound better by mumbling better, less or more. I don't know, because in my ears it sounds okay. I just really don't want to Really go really slow to talk more clearly, because then a 5-minute video will become a 10-minute video, and you guys don't want that if it's the same wording. All right, and it could easily get really boring if I'm talking very slow. All right, I hope you guys love it. Now check out the lens if you want to rent it from borrowlenses.com. That they have a good selection for decent prices. Just the shipping is a little pricey, but it's worth it. At least for me, it was. I rented it for a week, and it cost me about $100, and that's including the shipping. So it's not too bad. But the lens is like $700, so it's like what, 10% or less of the value of the lens. So I know I'll be renting again. I'll probably be renting a 70-200 f2.8 version 2 for an event that's coming up in the summertime probably. All right. So I'll see you guys. All right, later.